On January 12, 2010, the island nation of Haiti was struck by a massive 7.0 earthquake. One of the things that people may or may not be familiar with in this type of research is why Haiti is important to the power structure, to the global elite, to the New World Order overall. Now, back in 2004, there was a U.S.-led coup d'etat against the democratically elected leader, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who had left Haiti on a U.S. plane and many said was kidnapped. He himself said he was kidnapped as well. And basically this was due to the privatization that Washington had wanted to come in, including the privatization of their phones, electricity, and other things. So since then, this has been something that has been a glimmering jewel in the eye of the elite. Bill Clinton was in Haiti on a trade mission. This was reported by the Miami Herald. We have the article here. Former President Bill Clinton welcomed a trade mission in Haiti Thursday, committing his and the Inter-American Development Bank staff to personally follow up with each investor interested in creating jobs, but may need help finalizing a real deal. Now, this is interesting because Bill Clinton, back just a few months ago, was in Haiti trying to negotiate with them for the paying off of the debts that Haiti owned to the Inter-American Development Bank. Now, if you look up what the Inter-American Development Bank is, IADB or the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank, it's an international organization established and headquartered in Washington, D.C., to support Latin American, Caribbean economic and social development. Now, essentially, what happens is it works in the same way the IMF and the World Bank works, and it works much in the same way that they want to use the cap and trade system for, which means they loan money to third world countries, and if you don't pay it back, then it's just like the repo man. It's just like when you owe money for a car. If you don't pay for that car, what happens? They come and take it away. There, we also have the news clip of this that we'll show here on screen for you, in which one of the former presidents of the Dominican Petroleum Refinery, a gentleman by the name of Leopoldo Espilat Natia, considered one of the solutions of the Haitian state to pay its foreign debt to the Inter-American Development Bank was the vast amounts of deposits of gold and other minerals in Haiti. Mr. Natia revealed that according to geological studies and research conducted on Haitian soil, it indicated that the nation shares with the Dominican Republic gold deposits, untapped, were the world's largest and little-known and rare mineral that is vital for the building of spacecraft and other appliances, known as iridium. And iridium is another element you can look up that you'll find that the elite are very interested in because of its ability to be able to make an alternative fuel source that could one day replace fossil fuels in the future. So we have that. We have vast amounts of oil reserves. We have another article here that we're going to show on screen for you as well. That is a article that's translated from French from the MetropoleHaiti.com that says Haiti is full of oil. Scientists Daniel and Jeanette Marthrin indicate that under Haitian soil, it is rich in oil and fuel possible, which were collected by the Haitian and foreign experts. We have identified 20 sites. The Central Plateau, including the region of Thomond, the plain of the cul-de-sac, and the Bay of Port-au-Prince, are filled with oil, he said, adding that Haiti's oil reserves are larger than those of Venezuela. An Olympic pool compared to a glass of water. That is the comparison to show the importance of oil in Haiti compared to those of Venezuela. And another interesting article we'll show here for you was published on Saturday, January the 23rd. U.S. Geological Survey claims Venezuela sits on Earth's largest oil reserves. Venezuela may have just become the center of an energy-starved world. The Orinoco Belt, situated squarely underneath the South American nation, may hold some 513 billion barrels of crude oil, according to a new report by the U.S. Geological Survey. Now, let's stop right there. We have vast amounts of oil reserves under Haiti. We have vast amounts of oil reserves under Venezuela. We have a video clip that we'll also show for you here in just a few minutes that has Hugo Chavez claiming that some sort of weapon was used to engineer this earthquake, and that is something that we'll also be covering here later on in the film. Now, recently it was reported in mainstream news that Venezuela was selling large amounts of their oil reserves to China. So what would that have to say in terms of meaningness to the United States? Well, number one, that cuts off the amount of of oil that we're providing to China makes them less likely to want to hang on to our treasury bonds. Chavez could effectively bring down the United States by selling this oil to China. Now, this is where it gets interesting to me, one of the two places where it gets interesting, and that is the fact that the night before the earthquake in Haiti, U.S. Southern Command, Southcom, who has been heading up the relief aid along with the 32nd Airborne, nextgov.org, and we'll show you this article as well on the screen as we have the other ones. Defense launches online system to coordinate Haiti relief efforts. On Monday, Jean Demey, DISA's technical manager for the agency's Transitional Information Sharing Cooperation Project, happened to be at the headquarters of the U.S. Southern Command in Miami, preparing for a test of the system in a scenario that involved providing relief to Haiti in the wake of a hurricane. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an admission by U.S. Southern Command, Southcom in command on Haiti, Northcom in command on 9/11. We have an admission of them running drills in the event of a scenario that would involve them providing relief to Haiti in the event of earthquake. And then the next day, the same event happens, just like on 9/11. Drills are being run simulating planes flying into the World Trade Center and Pentagon. Boom, it happens. 7/7 bombings in London. Running drills simulating those same events on the same day. Boom, it happens. FEMA in New York City the night before 9/11. FEMA was already there. You see, this is, to me, is the huge smoking gun. These people were already there the night before that earthquake setting up. Now, with the oil reserves and the gold and the iridium, the previously mentioned article, along with the iridium and gold, the iridium and oil also mentioned gold being there. Now, we know the importance of that to these people. And when you combine this information of this scenario involving U.S. Southern Command running a drill that involved preparing for relief to Haiti in the wake of a hurricane the night before, with that of the oil reserves and the U.S. Geological Survey of Venezuela that now states they have 513 billion barrels of crude oil underneath it, you start to see a very opportunistic game plan here for them to set up a military blockade now in Haiti. Haiti is the most strategic location to launch a military strike against Venezuela. Now, the interesting thing about all of these things is, going back to what we mentioned earlier about, was this a HAARP-created event? Was this something that was using scalar technologies? Most likely, we won't ever know. And really, in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter whether they used it or not. Even if they did or didn't, the one thing that they surely did, we also have a clip that we'll play, that you'll be able to see in this film as well. They had predicted there would be an earthquake there in Haiti last year. So it's kind of the same thing, as similar as the discussion on 9/11, the whole lie hop and my hop thing, let it happen on purpose versus made it happen on purpose. And they use that as a divide and conquer thing within the 9/11 truth movement, where people argue over, well, did they let it happen on purpose? Did they make it happen on purpose? And I see the same thing formulating here, but with good reason, because it could go either way. And I'm going to tell you the two reasons why I believe it could have gone either way. Number one, the fact that they reported that they knew ahead of time, in advance, that there was going to be a massive earthquake there. And if they had access to that knowledge, they could have kept those people from ever knowing there was going to be a massive earthquake, prepared for this. A lot of people have been wondering why they've been putting off an invasion of Venezuela. And, of course, that's been talked about. That was actually talked about in the Aaron Russo interview where he talked about Nick Rockefeller trying to recruit him into the CFR. And I told him that 9/11, first it would be used for Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, and then Venezuela. He mentioned that there. And I think that they were probably waiting for this event so they could seize the opportunity to be able to send in Southern Command, to send in troops and the rest of it and secure Haiti, and also to be able to go in and start drilling, because now there's going to be no regulation there. They don't have a government. Haiti doesn't have a government. There's nobody to regulate things for drilling or mining or anything else. They can send in miners and drillers and anything else they want to that country and go down there and start drilling and mining right now, and there's not a damn thing anybody can do about it because they have no government. Their government was wiped out. This thing struck right in the heart of the country. So let's say, for instance, you believe you're leaning towards the lie hop in, the let it happen on purpose, in which, again, you would be very justified in believing if that was the route of belief you so choose. But let's look at it from a different angle, and let's look at it from what predominantly the people in the truth and conspiracy research movement are looking at, and then Puerto Rico called the Arecibo Observatory. And the Arecibo Observatory is a radio telescope that is located in Puerto Rico. Now, this thing has been featured in quite a few Hollywood films, and we know how they like to use Hollywood films for foreshadowing. I recently saw the film Avatar again over the weekend in IMAX, and one of the things I didn't notice the first time around was in the second version of this, when the drill sergeant is talking to the gentleman who's the main character, and he's asking him what wars he's been in because he was a Marine. He says, I pulled your file and you were in Venezuela. That was some tough bush. So right there, right as all this is happening, the biggest movie, what's set to be the biggest movie of all time, eclipsing all other movies at the box office, just happens to have a quick little reference in there to some past war that took place that this gentleman had been involved in that happened and took place in Venezuela. I find that interesting. But this Arecibo Observatory, it's been featured in such movies as Contact, that was based on the Carl Sagan book. It was in an X-Files episode. But the thing that got my attention, I remembered this from several years back. You'll see a clip of this also in this film as well. And in the movie Goldeneye, the James Bond film, this is what they use it with a Russian satellite to fire an electromagnetic pulse at London. Now, I find that very interesting that they would use this, what is a known ionospheric heater that can be used in conjunction with HARP. They use this in this fictional movie to fire an electromagnetic pulse on the city of London. With this ionospheric heater being that close to the island of Haiti, and with Hugo Chavez claiming that they used some sort of weapon to engineer this, we have something very interesting on our hands, along with the fact that the U.S. Geological Survey and others reported that there were going to be massive tsunamis after the earthquake, none of which ever materialized. And this is generally, as I've looked into in my research, have found this is generally one of the most common things when you have an earthquake that takes place on an island along a fault line. A tsunami is generally an expected event. In fact, it's the norm more than it is a rarity. No tsunamis took place after this. So it shows a precision in the ability to create this to happen. So there's, like I said, there's been many speculation, let it happen on purpose. Did they make it happen on purpose? I would say that both of those things are valid. Both of those things could very well be the case. But either way, if they did or didn't make it happen on purpose, or let it happen on purpose and knew ahead of time, had foreknowledge it was going to happen, either way, they've used this to their military advantage and are using this to their military advantage, not to mention the billions of dollars are now being funded in aid to Haiti, allegedly under the guise of going to restore the country, which they're going to do no such thing, we know. And this is going to go right back into the war coffers to fund the war effort. I mean, there has already been hundreds of millions of dollars, folks. And you look at what's going on right now in these different countries and what's happening with Venezuela, China, and all the rest of it, and we're starting to see what could possibly be a massive staged world war scenario within the next month, possibly. And so these things all combine to create something that, again, gives us all a whole lot of questions. But the big money and the big power lies in who controls the amount of oil that is sold to China. With China being the world's largest importer and user of fossil fuels, whoever the person would be in a position to provide that oil to China would have a serious windfall and a serious amount of power in the world that would basically give them protection of the entire Eastern Bloc, specifically the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, China, Russia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, all of the member states of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. That would give that specific country a great amount of power. Now, do you think that the controllers of the United States of America are going to sit back and let someone like Hugo Chavez do that and let Venezuela take over and be a world dominant superpower? I don't think so. So this is where we're at here, and I think that we can safely state that throughout the information that we've seen and looked at, again, we've had Southcom running drills the night before, the vast amounts of oil reserves under Haiti, gold, iridium, the ionospheric heater, Arecibo Observatory being located right in the area in Puerto Rico. Another interesting correlation also would be, where does all this money go? Has anyone ever asked the question as to where all the money that is funneled in to the Red Cross and others, where this money goes? Well, we know that World Vision and AmeriCares have been involved in the relief. We know these are two groups that are also controlled and associated with the Council for National Policy that we covered in the Secret Right Volume 1. Also, the bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, is also in cahoots with the same organization. You might remember us talking about the Council on Inter-American Security. Larry Pratt and Pat Buchanan both worked for in the 1980s during the Iran-Contra affair. Well, the Council on Inter-American Security and the Inter-American Development Bank are all part of this control of South America and the neighboring island nations. So isn't that quite a bit interesting to show the phony left-right paradigm that here's Bill Clinton back in October of 2009 going to Haiti and trying to negotiate a deal in the terms of paying off the debt owed by Haiti to the Inter-American Development Bank. And just 2 days, or just 1 day rather, the day after the earthquake, the Heritage Foundation, another CMP-related group, published this memo in their blog, The Foundry, Things to Remember While Helping Haiti. Quote, the U.S. government response should be bold and decisive. It must mobilize U.S. and civilian and military capabilities for short-term rescue and relief and long-term recovery and reform. President Obama should tap high-level bipartisan leadership. Clearly, former President Clinton, who was already named as the UN envoy on Haiti, is a logical choice. President Obama should also reach out to a senior Republican figure, perhaps former President George W. Bush, to lead the bipartisan effort for the Republicans. And that's the end of the quote. And that's, of course, from the Heritage Foundation's own blog. Now, isn't that an interesting thing that they would be recommending that the day after, that they should have a bold and decisive mobilization with military capabilities, and that President Clinton, the former envoy or the current envoy to Haiti, President Obama and Bush should all unite together to get behind this. You see, that shows clearly the connection between how Clinton was working to control Haiti, Bush was working to control Haiti, and now under Obama, they have seen the full fruition of that. So it's an amazing thing to look at when you step back and see the implications are for the world that we're now existing in. And these people are going to gain control of the Haiti oil reserves, of those vast resources, while at the same time being able to stage an attack plan against Venezuela and go in and get whatever antiquities are there. And we'll cover that information in one of our upcoming films. So we're going to play some clips now from here on out. And as always, look into this information and research it for yourself.
Week in Eureka, California, this dog in the local paper's newsroom seemed to know something was coming long before his owner did, a full 6 seconds before an earthquake hit. Unfortunately, that's about as good as short-term earthquake forecasting gets.
We cannot predict earthquakes in the way the public would like us to predict earthquakes.
For decades, scientists have been focusing on long-term forecasts, successfully measuring the probability that certain fault lines around the world will erupt. California could be next. It's been 300 years since a major quake rocked the southern portion of the San Andreas Fault near Los Angeles. Scientists here believe there's a 99.7% chance that a 6.7 or greater earthquake could hit Southern California in the next 30 years.
1,800 people will die.
But when is the big question? Short-term prediction is the elusive holy grail of earthquake science. In April 2009, a major earthquake in Italy was preceded by a series of small earthquakes, known as foreshocks. But that doesn't always mean a big one is coming.
We can't tell when small earthquakes are foreshocks or when they're just a part of background seismic activity.
Scientists have also studied hydroelectric activity and tidal movements with limited success. Now, new research using GPS sensors is focused below plates and fault lines to see if tremors closer to the Earth's core lead to quakes on the surface. Scientists in Texas used that technology in 2008 to predict that Haiti's fault line was primed for a major earthquake.
The GPS data allows the type of forecasting of where these large earthquakes might occur.
But until detection technology improves, preparation is still the best defense. Buildings in the U.S. must be designed to withstand major seismic events. Unfortunately, Haiti's are not.
It's really not the earthquake that's killing the people. It's the buildings that fail, that fall down on people, that cause most of the casualties.
And as we saw this week, that destruction still comes without much warning. Ben Tracy, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Right now, we simply know the location and the magnitude of it. We're calling it a 7.0, magnitude 7 earthquake. And it's about 25 kilometers west-southwest of Port-au-Prince, so it's very close to Port-au-Prince.
And that's the difficulty, isn't it, being so close to a major city like that?
Yeah, there are a number of things. It's close to a major city. It's a very large earthquake. It's also a shallow earthquake, shallow in the crust, which means more potential damage. And I would also think that based on some of the construction in Haiti that we will probably see substantial damage from this.
I understand that a tsunami warning has also been issued, not by you, but by the Pacific Tsunami Warning Service, which obviously is a different ocean, if you like. But what's the warning for the tsunami, then?
I have not actually seen that tsunami warning, but it doesn't surprise me that one was put out in this case.
What are your concerns for damage, given what you've said about the depth of this and the location of this earthquake?
Well, at this point, I haven't had any direct reports, but in a speculative sense, I would suspect there'll be substantial damage. There may be some casualties.
We're getting reports already that a hospital has collapsed in Pétionville. No immediate reports of casualties, but no doubt if buildings like hospitals are already collapsing, you would have concerns, wouldn't you?
Yes, absolutely so.
Scientists at NASA's Ames Research Center in Palo Alto, California, make a discovery. In studying more than 100 earthquakes with magnitudes of 5.0 or greater, they find that almost all of them are preceded by electrical disturbances in the ionosphere. Could there be a connection to HAARP or a facility like it?
To say that HAARP can artificially excite the ionosphere in such a way to cause an earthquake, well, it alarms me.
Dr. Agnew experienced the power of ELF waves firsthand back in the 1980s. He was hired by an energy company to locate oil and gas using the same kind of ELF waves at much lower frequencies to carry out his search. It's a process called earth tomography. But during one particular incident, Dr. Agnew believes his use of HAARP-like ELF waves accidentally triggered an earthquake.
It was in the spring of 1987, we arrived in Roseburg, Oregon, to use our ELF technology to search for oil and gas. Setting up that day, we had a little bit different results than we expected because the instant that we energized it, there was between a 4 and 4.5 on the Richter scale earthquake that occurred. We were so amazed about what seemed to be cause and effect. We get to an area that has a high propensity for earthquakes, in an area known as the megathrust of the Pacific Northwest. We turn it on, and an earthquake occurs.
Dr. Agnew demonstrates how he may have triggered the quake.
This is a scale model of what the area looked like in Oregon when we scanned for oil and gas in 1987. This strata right here represents the megathrust area underneath the ground. The rock represents the potential energy set up in the ground from a tectonic stress. What we're going to do is introduce ELF waves and demonstrate that it can in fact trigger an earthquake.
In this case, Dr. Agnew is using a stereo speaker to produce the ELF waves needed for his demonstration.
ELF waves, extremely low frequency waves, are just like a subwoofer. In your car, you can actually feel the vibrations through your body. ELF waves are the same way. They vibrate the earth, and at right resonant frequencies, they can have devastating effects.
When the speaker is activated, ELF waves begin to emit. Tiny vibrations in the sand are detected. Then a few seconds later, the rock representing a fault line shifts.
As you can see, in a very few seconds, the resonant frequency built up in our model released the potential energy in the rock. That concussion, on a real scale, would have been felt for 100 miles. These conditions are already set up in the ground. All it takes is the activation energy to make the release happen. This is a small scale, and we're only using 30 watts in this scale.
When HAARP's broadcast array in Gakona, Alaska sends pulses of ELF waves into the ionosphere, the waves get reflected back down and pass through the Earth and ocean. If 3.6 million watts of ELF waves were purposely or accidentally aimed at an already unstable fault line, it could, according to Dr. Agnew, cause a tremendous earthquake.
Looking at just simple instabilities, what does it take to create an avalanche? A guy walking across an unstable ice field. What does it take to trigger an earthquake? The right signal coming in when the pressures are already built up and they're at their threshold. That feather, and in our case that hammer, releases that energy.
Conspiracy theorists believe HAARP is responsible for triggering earthquakes in enemy territories, like Iran, China, and rogue parts of Afghanistan over the past 3 years. But Harp's start...
Hugo Chavez has once again accused the United States of playing God. But this time it's Haiti's disastrous earthquake that he thinks the U.S. was behind. Spanish newspaper ABC quotes Chavez as saying that the U.S. Navy launched a weapon capable of inducing a powerful earthquake off the shore of Haiti. He adds that this time it was only a drill, and the final target is destroying and taking over Iran. The existence of a tectonic weapon has never been proved, but its use is often suspected by conspiracy theorists. For example, the leader of Georgia's Green Party accused Russia of being behind an earthquake on Georgian territory in 2002.
Use the cap and trade system for, which means they loan money to third world countries, and if you don't pay it back, then it's just like the repo man. It's just like when you owe money for a car. If you don't pay for that car, what happens? They come and take it away. There, we also have the news clip of this that we'll show here on screen for you, in which one of the former presidents of the Dominican Petroleum Refinery, a gentleman by the name of Leopoldo Espilat Natia, considered one of those. Bill Clinton, back just a few months ago, was in Haiti trying to negotiate with them for the paying off of the debts that Haiti owned to the Inter-American Development Bank. Now, if you look up what the Inter-American Development Bank is, IADB or the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank, it's an international organization established and headquartered in Washington, D.C. to support Latin American, Caribbean economic and social development. Now, essentially, what happens is it works in the same way the IMF and the World Bank works, and it works much in the same way that they want to. On January 12, 2010, the island nation of Haiti was struck by a massive 7.0 earthquake. One of the things that people may or may not be familiar with in this type of research is why Haiti is important to the power structure, to the global elite, to the New World Order overall. Now, back in 2004, there was a U.S.-led coup d'etat against the democratically elected leader, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who had left Haiti on a U.S. plane and many said was kidnapped. He himself said he was kidnapped as well. And basically this was due to the privatization that Washington had wanted to come in, including the privatization of their phones and electricity and other things. So since then, this has been something that has been a glimmering jewel in the eye of the elite. Bill Clinton was in Haiti on a trade mission. This was reported by the Miami Herald. We have the article here. Former President Bill Clinton welcomed a trade mission in Haiti Thursday, committing his and the Inter-American Development Bank staff to personally follow up with each investor interested in creating jobs, but may need help finalizing a real deal. Now, this is interesting because solutions of the Haitian state to pay its foreign debt to the Inter-American Development Bank was the vast amounts of deposits of gold and other minerals in Haiti. Mr. Naida revealed that according to geological studies and research conducted on Haitian soil, it indicated that the nation shares with the Dominican Republic gold deposits untapped, or the world's largest and little-known and rare mineral that is vital for the building of spacecraft and other appliances known as iridium. And iridium is another element you can look up that you'll find that the elite are very interested in because of its ability to be able to make an alternative